Welcome to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County, and this show is about Plymouth County real estate. This show is about the real estate activity that occurred in December at the Registry of Deeds and will be an end-of-year summary. 2015 was a good year in real estate based upon the recordings at the Registry of Deeds. The headline for our month was the 2015 Plymouth County real estate market gives 2016 a solid base from which to start. In this show, we're going to talk a little bit about deeds, mortgages, foreclosure deeds, and generally the amount of recordings for the county. I have a great guest, Tony Baldwin of Baldwin Realty. We'll be talking about real estate in Plymouth County in this area of Plymouth. He's also the incoming president of the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. Our job at the registry is to record documents, scan them as images, create an index to find them in the future, microfilm them to protect them, and make sure that our system stays around for the next 300 or 400 years. The first image you're going to see is an image of deeds, that sales of property across Plymouth County. There were 927 deeds recorded in Plymouth County in December compared to 725 in November, 23% higher than last December. For the year, we were up 8%, a sign of a good market. Mortgages were high over 2015. We recorded 1,845 in December, more than the 1,545 in November, up 8% compared to last December. For the 12 months of data in 2015, there was a 25% increase in the mortgages recorded, which reflected purchase mortgages when people use mortgages to buy properties, but also refinance mortgages. People took advantage of very low interest rates to save themselves some money or shorten their term. Another document that we talk about are foreclosure deeds. Foreclosures are a less happy time in the marketplace. They're troublesome and difficult to predict. There were 62 foreclosure deeds in December of last year, 2015, more than the 53 in November 2015, 51% higher than December 14, and over the course of the 12 months of 2015, they were 42% higher than the year before. Clearly, lenders are clearing out their files, and a lot of people that may be facing some trouble ought not to wait. They ought to call a federal housing counselor and get some help to try to modify their loans. The next image you're going to see is foreclosure notices. Those were also up significantly. Those were up 40% over the year before. And you're going to see a listing of foreclosures by communities, foreclosures and orders of notice by communities. Basically, an order of notice is the first document we see at the Registry of Deeds that somebody's in trouble. And clearly Brockton, Plymouth, and Wareham have been those communities facing the most difficulty. You're also going to see a chart of recordings back from 1997 to 2015. Between 14 and 15, we increased the number of recordings by 12.8%. We do a training session every month at the Registry of Deeds. The next one is on Thursday, February 4th at 9 o'clock. If you're interested, sign up. It's limited in space. We've been holding office hours throughout Plymouth County, Scituate, Council on Aging meetings in Bridgewater. In Rochester, we had Hanson office hours recently, and in the month of February, we'll be visiting the town of Pembroke. We're all watching very closely what the impact of the Federal Reserve's raising the federal funds target rate. So far, it hasn't had an impact. We'll be watching that very closely. My next segment, we have a great guest, Tony Baldwin from Baldwin Realty Group, talking about the Plymouth County real estate market. We'll see you in the next segment.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes, but with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed. I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Welcome back to the Register's Report. My name is John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds of Plymouth County. In this segment of the show, we always try to do something educational in nature. We've had surveyors, we've had closing attorneys, we've had appraisers, we've had a lot of real estate individuals over the years. And I have a great guest today, Tony Baldwin of Baldwin Real Estate, Baldwin Realty Group. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you, John. Thanks
Yeah,
for
it's
having
always
me.
good to see you.
A pleasure.
I've known you for a long time.
Yep.
Why don't you share with our viewers a little bit of who you are, your background, and how you got into the real estate business?
Sure. So we have known each other a long time.
Yeah.
And actually, in 2000, I was licensed in real estate. I grew up in real estate. My father was in real estate,
Sure.
as you know.
Great guy.
And thank you very much. And he had a real estate company in beautiful Brockton, City of Champions, which he grew up in and loved very much. And his business was there. Never thought I would be in real estate, to be honest with you, when I was growing up. Fell into it, you know, finished college, moved back home, was living in Easton for a little bit, and, you know, had this opportunity, right? So you have an opportunity, you're a broke college kid, so it was a good fit for me.
Good.
And the first person that I trained with was actually your father.
Oh,
Yep.
corporate
Yep.
realty.
Corporate Realty Associates in Brockton.
Sure.
And Jack was my mentor.
Oh, good.
And so I spent quite a bit of time with Jack, and those were some formative days for me. He was always treated me kind, but was never shy to just tell you the truth.
That's for
right?
sure.
Yeah.
Right.
And I got a lot of experience working with Jack, and those were great years, corporate realty. So I ended up in 2004 moving to Plymouth. At that time, living with my wife, living here, still commuting to Brockton, doing Corporate Realty Associates. And my whole goal was to essentially move my real estate company here to Plymouth. So it was a slow transition where we kind of migrated across Plymouth County, so it was in Brockton. Then I had an office in Carver for a number of years, which was centrally located in the county, and now here in Plymouth. So I'm at One Park Place in Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Great. And what kind of work do you do?
Sure. So I do a lot of consulting. I do a lot of property management. So I have a portfolio, a couple 100,000 square feet of property that we manage now. I also do brokerage, so sales and leasing on both the commercial side and the residential side. I found that being in a tertiary market in south of Boston, that you really have to be diverse. But my background specifically, as I was trained in commercial real estate, I have my CCIM, Certified Commercial Investment designation, and I use a lot of that knowledge and those tools in my business.
So we're coming out of a pretty good year.
Yes.
2015.
Agreed.
What was your experience and thoughts about 2015?
I think, from my perspective, is in 2015, there's been this. We were in this massive recession, and then, but by the time 2015 rolled around, there started to become a confidence. There was a steady flow of capital coming into the marketplace, which was great. It's really been a seller's market. Property values have increased, not exponentially, but they've been trickling, going in the right direction. And that happened all through the year. We've seen a lot of new construction, both residential and commercial. I would say that all the empty storefronts, there's been a great absorption rate. So the vacancies have gone down, which is a huge sign. I think they went down nearly 8% from the following year. Right, almost across the board. Retail's remained fairly flat, but industrial and office has had a lot of absorption, which is great.
Yeah. we're making the turn.
We are making the turn, that's right.
On this day, it's the 20th,
Yep.
21st of
January.
January, and
New
we're
year.
moving right along. The month is passing so fast.
As they all do.
Yeah, thank God in the winter it goes fast.
That's right.
So where have you been at the beginning of the year, and where do you see us going? I know there's been some changes in the Fed's intent to keep the rates low and bumped it up a little bit, but where do you see us going in 2016?
Sure. I honestly think that it's going to be a little bit of the same. I feel that the Fed's been talking about raising rates, but there really hasn't been this big momentous event that will allow that to happen, that I see. I think it would really stall things out. What I do see is that there's been a little apprehension in the stock market's been all over the place.
Oh, sure.
Everyone always panics, right? But that's part of the course, that's part of the course. And so I feel that investors, although cautious, are continuing to spend. Construction is still up. And as long as there's that flow of capital, and as long as it really is still remaining a seller's market, which is driving prices up, and cap rates are staying fairly low. Cap rates are right around 8% right now. And with that, we'll continue to have a strong economy, have a strong market. Globally speaking, the United States, our economy is doing fairly well, in a global perspective.
Yeah, I think you're right about a lot of people panicking
Sure.
over the last week.
Sure.
And clearly, if they're watching it every single day and they're, connected to these, oil-related companies,
Right.
they're taking a hit.
That's right.
But everyone advises everyone to play it out, let it ride, and certainly as real estate is a great investment
Correct.
and doesn't get affected as much by that volatility,
Correct.
we should have a gradual improvement again.
Correct. It's interesting that I just said that it's a seller's market, which it is.
Right.
But there's also a tipping point there, and there's a balance of where it's also a buy and hold market. So if you do own real estate, in a sense, it's still okay to hold on to that because you're going to continue to see that growth. But yet your property the value has increased, so maybe depending on how long you have had the property, it might be a good time to dispose of it.
So what would you say is your company's main market area?
Sure. So I try to service Plymouth County. So I consider myself more of a boutique-style real estate company. I have 4 agents that I work with. We're very specialized in commercial real estate. We also do a lot of new construction. And so I try not to overextend myself so that I can really service the people that I'm closest to. I do some work over the bridge and I do some work in Boston, but I try to keep it between those corridors.
Yeah, it seems like the real estate business has gotten so high-tech that the actual hard space of your office
Correct.
has become less of a function.
That's right.
Do you want to describe that for the viewers? so they can kind of
Absolutely.
figure that?
It's a very good observation. So in my career, which is small comparatively to the real estate market in general, right? But what I've seen is, you have an office you have 15 private offices, you've got people grouped in together. Well, everyone works from home, everyone works from the road.
Right.
Everything's digital. It's really becoming an Uber-style marketplace. So Uber, if you're familiar with, is the app,
sure.
and you can get a
Sure.
ride anywhere, anytime.
Right.
Well, real estate is really becoming that, and there are companies like Realtor.com, and they're throwing a lot of marketing money out there, and they're making it easy and accessible for people to download an app for free, and you can do your own real estate searches, and then real estate companies and individual agents can then pay to kind of be on their top hit list there. So when you're on that app, and then you can get hooked up with a realtor. But it's all about ease and accessibility. So there are companies like CoStar, which is merged with LoopNet. They have an app. You can be in a location and you can find everything you need. And certainly like the MLS, that's what Realtor.com does, is it partners up with the MLS and gets all those listings. So the consumer really has a lot of access to the tools. At the same time, the realtors and the brokers and the agents really have the expertise in the art of the deal, which is really completely different. But what's a very good thing for myself is I'm on the road all the time. You know, everyone has a smartphone. I know, you know, I use mine constantly, and I have a laptop, but I use my smartphone
Right.
almost. I use it more than I do my laptop. You know, I make office time for myself, which is important. But if you're not out on the road shaking hands and you're not meeting new people and getting new opportunities, so that mobile, it's really become more of a mobile marketplace, and it really has shifted the landscape of offices in general.
So there have been a lot of changes in the real estate closing aspect.
Sure.
Have you had any experiences with the new HUD and advance notices and all that kind of thing?
There's been a lot of just in the last 60 days, I think, was there
sure.
not? Yeah. It's affected. I've seen it affect lending has become a little bit more difficult on the residential side. On the commercial side, it usually takes longer to get deals together anyway, so that really hasn't changed from my perspective. With the new HUD and the rules, and I believe you have to have the HUD out a week before the closing now, where sometimes it used to roll in the morning of. I think all those laws are there in a place where it's trying to protect the consumer, which is a good thing. It does slow down the process, which can be an arduous process anyway.
Right.
So I think it'll play out. I mean, the laws, they shift all the time.
So I always try to allow my guests 2 different times during our talk to share their contact information to the
Great.
public. Do
Awesome.
you mind doing that right now?
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you.
Go
So my name is Tony Baldwin.
Right.
I am the owner of Baldwin Realty Group. My office is located in downtown Plymouth at 1 Park Place. Please feel free to come down and visit. And I have a new opportunity that
Yes.
has presented itself, if I
Well,
may.
let's talk about
if
that.
I may have a little plug.
Yeah.
I'm a huge supporter of the community, and I've always been involved in the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. And I've had this opportunity come up where this year, for 2016, I will be chairman of the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce. Very excited about that. We have our annual meeting tomorrow, and I know that you will be there.
Yes.
At Indian Pond Country Club in Kingston. And it's just a great staff and a great group of people, and there's a lot of great business leaders in the community, and that's really what makes it tick. So it's such a vibrant town that we live in. I live here in Plymouth, and I'm happy to be here.
So we talked earlier that it's kind of bittersweet, I guess, that you're becoming chair of the Plymouth Chamber.
That's correct.
And I remember your father when he was president of what is now the Metro South Chamber.
Correct, in Brockton, that's right.
That's a pretty, at 2 ends of the county, the 2 county shire towns.
It really is. It's come full circle. You know, I have my dad's old badge. You know,
Oh,
it's
that's
like the
great.
pin badge.
That's great.
Black and white, old banker style, and it says, you know, President of the Chamber of Commerce, and I have that in my office, and it's nice.
And so this show probably will not run until after that big
Okay.
event. So you can tell us what your goals are for the year within the chamber.
Within the chamber?
Yeah, because
Awesome.
that'll be broadcast after you announce that tomorrow.
Fantastic. So my goals this year for the chamber are really to, there's a lot of overlap in our communities, and what I'd like to see is all the organizations that are essentially putting forth work and putting forth effort to make our community the vibrant place that it is for all these organizations to really work together. Because as we know, when you work together, great things can happen. And so with the Chamber of Commerce, and that's really what the Chamber does, is it brings businesses together. You know, our slogan is, it works for everybody. And it really does, because when you get involved and you meet people and businesses and you're looking for something and you're out there and like I said, you're shaking hands, you're meeting people and opportunities happen. You know, sometimes when you're stuck in your office and you're stuck behind your computer, you have these thoughts and you have these goals that you want to have happen, but if you don't get out there and start making it happen, it won't happen.
Yeah. I wish you luck.
Thank you.
It's a good group over there.
Thank you very much, John. Appreciate that.
So let's get back to your paid job.
Okay.
Let's give a couple tips to homeowners out there that
Sure.
may be interested in listing their property.
Sure.
Again, it's January.
Yep.
We're supposed to get a storm coming in, though
Yep.
not as bad as it was originally. It's different in the winter than it is other months of the year. Let's talk about some winter sale ideas.
Correct. So my father would always say, any time's a good time to sell.
Right.
You know, and that's true. At the same time, if you are thinking about selling your home, let's say it's your primary residence, and you're thinking about selling your home, now's a good time to think about it. Now's a good time to get the ball rolling. Instead of being in a crisis and trying to work from a reactive state, be very proactive. You know, get your financing in order, get your house cleaned up and prepped up. I typically tell people to put their houses on the market in March. You know, the winter goes by quickly. 60 days to clean out a house you've been living in for 10 years, let's say, it takes a while. So get your affairs in order, and then you're ready to go. You know, March 1st, put it on. Usually March, April, May, really hot months in the real estate market. Then you see probably a lot of those closings happening in May, June, July.
Right.
You know, and then people get distracted by the summer months a little bit. And then they have a little bit of a blurb in the fall, where it's also a good time to put your house on. If you're, you know, in a beach community, and the summer's great. And then, you know, people refocus again for the holidays. You know, November and December, you see things kind of slow down. Maybe you get some year-end closing because people are trying to get things off the books. You know, for tax purposes, they want to close by year-end. But now's a good time. Right now, in the end of January, it's a great time to get your affairs in order.
And hopefully we don't face what we did last year, because with those storms that
Oh,
came
geez.
late January through February, the whole market
That's right.
was brought back a little bit.
It's just, you know, when you have to shovel 2 feet of snow just to get to your car,
Right.
you're certainly not going to go out
Right.
looking at a lot of properties.
And there's always the story, the affidavit that had to be signed, that the buyer wanted the seller to sign an affidavit that there was grass under that.
That there was grass. That's right. I
So-
swear it's a manicured lawn. I promise.
Right. Well, great. I'm glad to see you doing well. I'm glad
Thank
to have you
you.
on the show, and I wish you luck over the year, but also with your big debut as chairman tomorrow.
Thank you very much, John. I appreciate it.
see you, Tony.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
This message brought to you by FEMA. Home fires occur most often in winter. Keep anything that can catch fire at least 3 feet from heating equipment. And never use an oven to heat your home. Stay in the kitchen when frying, grilling, or broiling food. Turn space heaters off when you leave the room or go to bed. Make sure all vents are clear of snow and ice to allow carbon monoxide to vent outside. Have your furnace, heating system, and chimneys serviced each year by a qualified professional. Learn more at www.usfa.fema.gov.
Welcome back to the Register Report. I want to thank Tony Baldwin for our great conversation on what he saw in 2015, the successes that happened in the Plymouth County real estate market, and a very positive look forward into 2016. Again, I congratulate him on his new role as chair of the Plymouth Chamber of Commerce. This segment of the show, we always do something lighter in nature, some of our history in Plymouth County. We always try to tie it to the holidays of the month. Clearly, we had New Year's Day in January, as well as Martin Luther King Day. In a couple of notable records we're talking about related prior to Martin Luther King and the fight on racial issues and civil rights. Prior to all of that, around here in Massachusetts, in Plymouth County, there were areas that had a great involvement in pre-Civil War abolitionists to fight for slavery. Island Grove Park in Abington, which is the first image you're going to see, is a beautiful park in the center of the town where abolitionists, including William Lloyd Garrison and others, would come down. Thousands of people would come to the Grove and have meetings about freeing the slaves prior to the Civil War. It's a great location, a beautiful memorial bridge which connects the road to the park, and certainly a jewel of the town. Another location in Plymouth County, the Torrey House in Bridgewater, right off of Bridgewater Town Common, also is a well-known location. It was a stop on the Underground Railroad during those days when slaves would escape from the South on their way through Boston to Canada in many cases. And this Underground Railroad stop kept them from slave catchers and continued the commitment to limiting slavery in the United States. There were two very well-known slaves who passed through that site. William and Ellen Crafts were slaves that escaped, and on their way north, they stopped in Bridgewater. As they traveled north, they traveled on a train, and William, who was the darker of the two, acted as the slave. Ellen, who was the lighter of two, acted as a master, and they were able to take trains all the way north to escape slavery. The Torrey House was known as the Torrey House prior to the Civil War because there was an individual who lived there who, during the change of the American Revolution, remained loyal to the crown and suffered greatly because of that, was chased out of that home, tarred and feathered, and the home was taken over at the time, and there's a plaque on it that you can see in the center of Bridgewater. Another notable land record that had a change, Bailey's Garage. Bailey's Garage is the site of the Abington St. Patrick's Day Parade, the start, begun by Jack Bailey, the son of Eddie Bailey, who founded the garage. In the Abington St. Patrick's Day Parade, one of the highlights of the St. Patrick's Day season in Plymouth County, again, was started on a bet and has continued for over 25 years. That Bailey's Garage was closed. Jack Bailey's son is taking it over as a home renovation site. So St. Patrick's Square and the beginning of the St. Patrick's Day parade will still start from that site, although it's a changing of an era. Thousands of people line the streets and celebrate their heritage around that. I want to thank PAC TV for helping putting this show together. David Antoine in particular worked with me on this show. Lonnie Green Baker from my office and Christine Richards worked with me in getting the CDs and the images together as well as the text. And it's very important that we tell what is happening in the Plymouth County real estate market. And as we go into 2016, I wish you a happy new year and a successful 2016. So I'll see you next month.